Ruth is 68. Every morning she sits on the edge of her bed and counts. Not seconds. She counts what's waiting for her. The stairs, the kettle, the little plastic box with the days of the week printed on the lid. She sits there, with her feet on the cold floor, and she negotiates. It isn't pain. She'd tell you that herself, and she'd be telling the truth. Her knees are fine. Her heart is fine. Her doctor says the word fine so often, it has started to sound like a diagnosis. What Ruth is doing on the edge of that bed is deciding whether today is a day she's in or a day she watches. Lately, she's been losing that argument more often. Here is what she doesn't know. The first 90 minutes of her morning are writing the rest of her day, her sleep that night, her hunger at noon, her balance on the stairs, the number of words she'll say out loud before dark. Not the doctor, not the diagnosis, not the year she was born, the first 90 minutes. We're staying with this for the next few days. Mornings, energy, the body after 60, and the small things that turn out not to be small. When I move to a different subject, I'll say so out loud, so you're not left guessing. Today, 5 habits. All of them happen before 10 in the morning. None of them cost anything. Ruth's first light of the day is her phone. Weather. Then the news. Then a photograph of somebody's grandchild in a swimming pool. Her eyes are open. Her body is still asleep. There's a clock inside your head, and it doesn't run on the numbers on the wall. It runs on light through the eye. Bright light, wide light, the kind that only exists outdoors. A well-lit kitchen sits somewhere around 200 lux. An overcast morning outside, no sun at all, is 10,000. Your kitchen isn't dim to you, it's dim to the clock. And one piece gets left out of the advice every time. The lens of the eye thickens and yellows as we age, so less light gets through to that clock than used to. The same walk to the mailbox that kept you steady at 40 does less for you at 68. You need more light now, not less. We can see this most clearly where the clock breaks down worst. In older adults with dementia, 4 weeks of bright morning light, 2500 lux, improved sleep disturbance, and steadied the daily rhythm, compared with a group left in ordinary indoor lighting of 100 to 300 lux. 4 weeks. Light. No pill. Then there's the sleep finding that turned the advice on its head. The UK Biobank study. 60,000 people. Median age 62. 10 million hours of wrist recordings. They measured 2 things: how long people slept and how regular they were, the same time in and the same time out. Then they waited. Regularity beat duration. The most regular sleepers had between 20 and 48% lower risk of dying over the follow-up than the least regular ones. Cardiometabolic deaths, up to 57% lower. Not 8 hours, the same hours. And the thing that sets the same hours, more than anything else you can control, is what your eyes see in the first hour after you wake up. So, what it looks like. Outside, within an hour of waking. 10 minutes if it's bright. 20 if it's gray. No sunglasses and no staring at the sun, that isn't what this is. Coffee on the step counts. Standing in an open doorway with your face turned out counts on the days your body says no to the step. The screen can wait 10 minutes. The news has never once improved by being read early. Healthy older men were kept from drinking water for 24 hours, a full day. When they were asked how thirsty they were, they reported almost no more thirst than young men who'd been drinking normally all along. Their bodies were dry. The alarm didn't ring. Thirst is not a fixed sense. It fades with age, the same way hearing fades, only nobody tells you about this one. So the advice you've followed your whole life, drink when you're thirsty, expires somewhere in your 60s. It doesn't stop being pleasant advice. It stops being true. And the morning is the driest point of the whole day. 7, 8 hours without a drop, breathing water out the entire time. What this costs is not what you'd guess. Researchers tracked hydration in older adults and found that people with drier blood, higher serum osmolarity, had a greater decline in overall cognitive function over the following 2 years. 2 years, not decades. So a portion of what people call the fog of getting older, the reaching for a word that used to be right there, the vagueness before noon, is on some mornings just water. Ruth drinks coffee first. She has for 40 years. And coffee is fine. Coffee is not the villain here. But coffee arrives on top of a body that's already down a glass and a half, and it doesn't put anything back. What it looks like, one full glass of water before the coffee, not instead of it, left on the counter the night before, where you can't walk past it. If plain water bores you, warm it and put lemon in it. The body doesn't grade you on style. You will notice this one in about 3 days, and you'll notice it as something absent. The heaviness behind your eyes at 11 in the morning that you assumed was age. Ruth's breakfast is toast and jam. It has been toast and jam since 1974. Toast and jam is about 6 grams of protein. Now let me tell you what's happening to her body while she eats it. After 50, muscle mass falls by 1 to 2% a year. That number sounds survivable, and it is. But muscle mass isn't the number that matters. Strength is, and strength leaves faster than size. By 75, men are losing 3 to 4% of their strength every year. Women, 2.5 to 3. Read that gap again. The muscle is going at under 1%. The strength is going at 3. That's why the mirror lies to you. You look roughly like yourself, and then the suitcase into the overhead bin feels different. The jar lid feels different. The last 3 stairs feel different, and none of it shows up in the mirror, so you file it under getting older and you stop mentioning it. Grip strength is the clearest window we have into this, because it's easy to measure and it predicts an unreasonable amount. Across 42 studies and 3 million people, every 5 kilograms of grip strength lost came with about a 16% higher risk of dying from any cause. Not falling, dying. Grip strength outperforms blood pressure and cholesterol as a predictor. Now the part you can use tomorrow. To build muscle at 68, you need a bigger dose of protein than you did at 30. The same small amount that used to trigger the repair signal now goes through and triggers nothing. Researchers put the number for older adults at 30 to 40 grams in a single meal, roughly 0.4 to 0.6 grams for every kilogram you weigh. Below that, the switch doesn't flip. And the timing turns out to matter in a way nobody expected. Older adults who took most of their protein in the morning had measurably better grip strength than those who took most of it at dinner and better muscle mass. In one trial, they gave people milk protein either in the morning or in the evening. Same protein, same amount. Muscle mass went up in the morning group. Most people over 60 do the exact opposite. 6 grams at breakfast, 10 at lunch, and then 40 at dinner, at 7 in the evening when the body is winding down. You're eating the right food at the wrong end of the day. What it looks like: eggs. Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, fish left over from last night, milk in place of water in the oatmeal. Add cheese and eggs to the toast rather than dropping the toast, because the goal isn't a smaller breakfast, it's a heavier one. 30 grams before 10. Ruth kept the jam. She put 2 eggs beside it. 3 weeks later, she carried both grocery bags in one trip, and she didn't notice she'd done it until she was standing at the counter. If any of this is landing, subscribe. I put out one of these every few days, and I make them for people who are past being spoken to, like children, about their own bodies. And tell me one thing in the comments, because I read them and it shapes what I make next. What's the first thing you do in the morning, before anything else? Not what you think you should do, what you actually do. I want to know what the real morning looks like. Now, the fourth one is the one people resist hardest, and it has almost nothing to do with exercise. There's a chair in Ruth's house that has a shape in it. Everybody over 60 has this chair. It knows you, and most mornings the sequence is bed, kitchen, chair, and then the day happens somewhere out beyond the window. The mistake is thinking the problem is a lack of exercise. It isn't. The problem is the length of the sit. When researchers took older adults and interrupted their sitting with short bouts of light walking, a few minutes at a time, their blood sugar after meals came down and their insulin came down sharply, 16.3 units, compared with sitting straight through. Standing up alone didn't do it. Walking did, and the intensity barely mattered. What mattered was that the sit was broken. Your body reads a long unbroken sit as a decision. Metabolism follows the decision. The other number here lets a lot of people off the hook. 15 studies were pooled together, 47,000 adults, followed for a median of 7 years. They looked at daily steps and death from any cause. For people over 60, the benefit rose steadily and then flattened out between 6,000 and 8,000 steps a day. 6,000, not 10. 10,000 steps came from a Japanese pedometer advertisement in 1965, and it has been humiliating older people ever since. 6,000 steps is roughly 45 minutes of ordinary walking spread across a whole day. It is not a workout. It's a life that includes standing up. And the reason this belongs in the morning is not metabolic, it's psychological. The first movement of the day sets what your body believes it's allowed to do. Get up, go outside, walk to the corner and back before you sit down for the day, and your body files the day under active. Sit down first, and every movement after that has to argue its way out of the chair. What it looks like: before the chair, 10 minutes outside, which, if you noticed, is the same 10 minutes as habit 1. Light and movement are the same trip. Then, through the day, stand up every half hour or so. Kettle on, walk while it boils. Adverts, stand up, phone call, walk the hallway. You are not training for anything. You're just refusing to let the sit run long. This is the one that people skip, and it's the one with the largest number attached to it. A review pooled the research on social isolation and death. After controlling for the usual suspects, isolation came with a 29% higher likelihood of dying. The researchers put it in the same tier as risk factors we all take seriously, the ones you get a leaflet about at the surgery. 29% for quiet. And loneliness after 60 doesn't announce itself. Nobody wakes up and thinks, I am isolated now. It arrives as a series of reasonable mornings. The kettle, the radio for company, because the radio doesn't need anything from you. A day that ends, and you realize the only voice in the house was the television's. Morning is where it sets. If nobody has spoken to you by 10, the whole day tends to run quiet, and quiet days stack. So the habit is small on purpose, because the big version, join a group, make new friends, is advice that hasn't worked for anybody who needed it. The small version, one real sentence to one real person, before 10 in the morning, not a text, not a like on a photograph, a voice. Phone your sister and don't wait for a reason. Say good morning to the man at the shop and add one sentence about the weather that isn't a complaint. Talk to the neighbor whose name you've forgotten and admit you've forgotten it. The content doesn't matter. What matters is that you were required to be a person before 10 in the morning. Ruth started phoning her brother on Tuesdays, then Tuesdays and Fridays. He's 74, and neither of them has ever once said anything important on those calls. She stopped counting on the edge of the bed, somewhere in the second month, and she couldn't tell you which morning it stopped. There's one more thing, and it isn't a habit. It's the reason the 5 work. A researcher at Yale went back into an old study from Ohio, 660 people, all over 50, who years earlier had answered a few plain questions about growing old. Whether they expected to be useful, whether they thought things got worse. Ordinary questions about their own aging, answered decades before anybody knew how it would turn out. Then she followed them, some of them for 23 years, and she counted. The people who'd held a positive view of their own aging lived 7.5 years longer than the ones who hadn't. That gap held after age, sex, income, loneliness, and health were accounted for. It's larger than the gap from low blood pressure, larger than the gap from low cholesterol. Each of those is worth about 4 years. 7.5 years from what a person believed about being old. Some of that runs through the will to live, which the researchers could measure, but some of it runs through the mornings. If you believe your body is finished, you don't go outside, you don't put the eggs on the plate, you don't phone your brother on a Tuesday for no reason. Belief comes out as behavior, and behavior comes out as years, which means it works in the other direction too. Do the things a person with a future does, and something starts to shift underneath. Ruth still sits on the edge of the bed some mornings. Her feet still find the cold floor. She just doesn't count anymore. If this was worth your 20 minutes, follow along, because I'm staying on mornings for the next few videos, and each one goes deeper than the last. Send this to 5 people over 60. Not as advice, just send it, and let them decide. And leave me a real comment, not a nice one, a real one. Tell me which of the 5 you already do without thinking, and which one you read and immediately explain to yourself why it wouldn't work for you. That second one is usually the one. Tell me what you want next too. Sleep after 60, eating alone, or the one nobody asks for, which is money and time, and how much of one you're still trading for the other. I'll see you in the next one.